Jimmy Butler is a troll. The NBA star is infamous for his antics, like getting a funny haircut specifically for the NBA's media day, so they have to use that picture of him for the whole year. One year it was extensions, and the next year it was an emo cut. It's not always clear when he's being serious. So when he announced he was trying to produce a country album, most people thought he was joking. His love of country music, after all, was born out of a joke. He told Rolling Stone in 2023 that during his senior year at college, all the players in his locker room were blasting rap music and he wanted them to turn it down. It wasn't about the genre, he said. He loves hip hop too. It was about the volume. But they told him, worry about what's in your own headphones. So Jimmy Butler, being the kind of guy that he is, said, okay. And he went home and he Googled, what's the most country song? And the results told him it was Don't Take the Girl by Tim McGraw. So he came in the next day and started blasting it. And when his teammates told him to turn it down, he said, worry about what's in your own headphones. But he started paying attention to the lyrics and checking out more country artists. And before he knew it, he was a legitimate fan. And now he's taking his role as country's DJ Khaled very seriously. And he even posted a snippet of one of the songs he's working on with the artist Braylon. And you know what? That shit is pretty fire. Jimmy Butler isn't alone in this pursuit. Country is scorching hot right now.
Of course, as I'm on tour and editing this video, Beyonce dropped 2 country singles, so yeah.
At the end of 2023, Post Malone announced on his Twitch channel that he was working on a country album. And in the past few days, Lana Del Rey announced the same. And while both of these artists have roots in folkier sounds and Americana aesthetics, it would still be a strategic decision because right now, country is selling. The top selling album of 2023 was Morgan Wallen's One Thing at a Time. It did so well that it was the #1 album in the country for 16 weeks, with 12 of those weeks being consecutive. His streams are so crazy that his 2021 album, Dangerous the Double album, also charted at number 5 this past year. Taylor Swift, an artist who has roots in country music, even if her sound has evolved a little bit, placed 5 albums in the top 10 in 2023. One of them, Speak Now, is inarguably a country pop album. And it runs deeper than just Morgan Wallen and Taylor Swift. Zach Bryan's self-titled album was #1 in the country for 2 weeks straight. Jason Aldean's song Try That in a Small Town peaked at #1 on the Billboard Songs chart, and it was the highest selling country song in over 10 years. Another viral country song, Rich Men North of Richmond by Oliver Anthony, also debuted at #1 on the charts, and it became such a conversation starter that it was brought up by a moderator at the Republican presidential debate. Not only is country selling, it's showing it has an ability to captivate social media and have a viral moment the way that so many hip-hop and pop songs have. And country was actually more represented on the top 10 album charts of the past year than hip-hop was. Last year's top 10 only had Travis Scott's Utopia and Metro Boomin's Heroes and Villains. You know what else is growing? My channel. Thank you guys so much for the support. If you're new here, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. If you want to see all my videos a day early, go to my Instagram, go to my broadcast channel. I post them all in there a day early. Check that out. Appreciate you guys. Back to the video. So country's rise has been coupled with what a lot of people are calling a downturn in the popularity of hip hop. In 2023, a big stink was made about the fact that halfway through the year, there still hadn't been a #1 hip hop album or song. Billboard wrote an article with 5 reasons that may explain why that was the case. Comparatively, the genre produced 6 different #1 albums through the first half of 2022. One of the reasons that Billboard thought of was that the genre's market share was slowly being eaten away by other genres like country and Latin music. Hip-hop and country are also starting to mingle a little bit. Some more opportunistic rappers are acknowledging the rise of country music and seeing it as something for them to dabble in and co-sign. Morgan Wallen and Lil Durk have made music together, and Drake put Morgan Wallen in one of his most recent music videos. Of course, the hip-hop country fusion is not a new phenomenon. Nelly and Tim McGraw had a smash hit in 2004 with Over and Over. Around the same time, Bubba Sparxxx was playing with a country rap fusion sound. Most people know him for Miss New Booty, but songs like Deliverance have a really interesting take on what could happen if you smash the 2 genres together. But unfortunately, the genre of country rap has at least as many duds as it does smash hits. Nelly did a remix of Florida Georgia Line's hit song Cruise, and while it was obviously a commercial success, it's not for me. There are even worse examples, like LL Cool J and Brad Paisley's ill-fated collab, Accidental Racist. The less I say about that one, the better. For people who grew up in that era, it's understandable why they would see country and rap as oil and water. And so in the 2010s, the most successful country hip-hop crossovers were more tongue-in-cheek in tone, rather than serious like Over and Over was. Lil Tracy dropped Like a Farmer in 2018, and the song got enough viral traction that Lil Uzi Vert hopped on the remix. Lil Tracy sings in like a silly southern drawl over a beat that he probably would have normally made a regular song over. He did one of those yellow background Genius interviews, and he said the song came out of he and his friends just being drunk and it was really just a joke. Nobody took this song super seriously, but people definitely did enjoy it. But just a year later, Lil Nas X's Old Town Road exploded and everything changed. There was drama about the classification of the song. It became the first song to ever chart on Billboard's hip hop and country charts at the same time, but then they took it off the country charts. People were arguing that it wasn't a real country song. It is true that the producer of Old Town Road, Young Keo, didn't think of it as a country beat when he uploaded it for sale. But if you listen to one of Morgan Wallen's biggest songs, Thinkin' About Me, the song has hi-hats that sound right out of a rap song. The truth is, these genres have way more in common than we might think. What used to be a joke is now just a reality. One of the best-selling artists in hip-hop right now is Rod Wave. If you listen to some of the beats he sings over, they don't sound that far off from the Morgan Wallen song I brought up. There is a shared part of the Venn diagram between hip-hop and country music, where the musical components really aren't that different. I'm not talking about most rap music. I'm not talking about boom bap rap music. I'm not talking about Griselda. I'm not talking about weird, cool, left of center rap music. And I'm not talking about folksier, old school country music. I'm talking about the current mainstream dominant iterations of both of them. You could legitimately put Gunna on some of the beats that Morgan Wallen is on, and it wouldn't really sound that out of place. What really differentiates the two from each other in general is the lyrics, some of them, and the branding. But honestly, sometimes, is the branding really that different? Look at this Morgan Wallen cover. The only thing stopping this from being a 2011 white guy rap album is the boots. And you really gotta zoom in to see the boots anyway. This cover is giving like a Sammy Adams, Chris Webby kind of rapper. Some artists have even thrived in both worlds at different times, showing that the skill sets aren't really that different. Jelly Roll has exploded onto the country music scene, becoming one of the genre's newest stars and earning a Best New Artist nomination at the Grammys. But he's not a normal new artist. He might be kinda new to country, but he's definitely not new to music. He had a long career in hip hop before he changed his sound. After making music in the 2000s and early 2010s underground rap circuit that featured some other artists like Tech Nine, he found his lane in country music. The skill set that brought him some success in the underground rap world translated in some ways to this completely different genre. Probably much better than anyone would have imagined. While most people acknowledge hip-hop's origins in the black community, people might be surprised to learn that country has a similar lineage. The banjo, one of the quintessential country music instruments, is actually a descendant of a West African instrument called the Akan Ting. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. In the 1800s, minstrel shows, which were a racist form of theater where performers, either white people in blackface or black people, acted out stereotypes of the black community, implying they were lazy or stupid. The audience for these shows, of course, was mostly white people. The banjo was one of the stereotypes broadcasted in these shows. It was a black person's instrument. But as the crowd listened to it and watched the cast play it, they wanted to play it too. So the banjo was appropriated by the audience. And decades later in the 1920s, it became the foundation of the genre of hillbilly music, which is the precursor to country music. It's both fascinating and disgusting to see the parallels between the roots in both genres. Today, while there are black country stars like Darius Rucker and Jimmy Allen, the genre is well known to be dominated by white performers. So the roots of the two genres are actually kind of analogous. And there is a huge overlap in the musical foundation as well. And the funny thing is, when people complain about their favorite genre falling off, not being as good as it was, be it hip hop or country, those complaints sound eerily similar. I'm all too familiar with complaints about today's rap music, growing up as a rap fan on the internet and sometimes rapping too in my own music. It's too mainstream, it's just about money and women and violence, all the beats sound the same, the albums are too long, the spirit of the genre is gone, you get it. I needed to get some fresh perspectives on country music because I'm just not as familiar with the genre, so I went to Reddit. Country music's audience is no longer the poor working class laborer. It's the young woman in her early 20s who wants to drink and have a good time. And young men listen to it to attract those women. Imagine I said those last two sentences, but I was talking about the City Girls, or Cardi B, or even Drake. Wouldn't it still fit perfectly? Let's play a game. Which genre is this complaint about? It's shallow, repetitive, and the constant pandering is vomit-inducing. Half of the songs are blatantly written in a simple, formulaic method, and the other half are creepy, ignorant, and sad. I just don't understand. It doesn't seem to be as enjoyable of a musical experience as other genres. It just doesn't sound good, for a lack of better term, to me. Oftentimes the lyrics are just downright inappropriate and unpleasant to listen to. These are almost the exact same complaint. One was about country and the other was about hip hop. I'm not even gonna tell you which was which. It doesn't even really matter. The funny thing is, in the post complaining about hip-hop, the user goes out of their way to identify themselves as someone who does not listen to country music. The complaints run deeper than the content of the music as well. One of the problems about the modern rap album, in my opinion, is that many of the A-list releases are too bloated for streaming purposes. I did a whole video about why albums are too long now, so you can go check that one out if you're curious for a further in-depth explanation. But to sum it up in like one sentence, because sales are calculated using streams now, if you have more songs that'll stream on your album, you'll sell more units. Of course, the funny thing is, modern country albums are just as bloated as modern rap albums, if not more bloated. How do you think Morgan Wallen had a 2-year-old album come in at number 5? In 2023. The album is 30 tracks and almost 2 hours long. As if that wasn't long enough, his 2023 album is 36 tracks. The reason why mainstream hip hop and mainstream country are so similar in their composition, their sound, their complaints, and their aesthetics is because they have the exact same goal in mind: to make money. This is a cog in the capitalist machine. That doesn't mean I don't like any mainstream rap songs. In fact, I like a lot of them, which is not surprising because they're basically made in a lab to be enjoyable. They're genetically engineered for me to like them. It's GMO-loaded fast food music. Think about the conversation where Mos Def called Drake's music pop. He said it was good for shopping. I like Drake, but is he wrong about that? I think he can be both hip-hop and pop, to be clear. I didn't do a video on that topic because my answer is like one sentence. Like, yeah, I think both are true. So a lot of the music that pisses people off so bad that they take their anger to Reddit or YouTube comment sections to have conversations about how sad the state of their favorite genre is being churned out for the purpose of profit. But I know as a modern rap fan that a lot of the complaints about how rap is dead or it's not as good as it used to be, or that there's no good music coming out, are false. Sure, some of the music topping the charts might not be pushing boundaries, but I'm not sure there's been a better time to be a rapper creatively or financially than right now. You can make a career while avoiding all the classic pitfalls of modern rap by just going directly to your fans, touring, and doing your thing. Look at artists like Larry June or Saba. They don't have to sacrifice their artistic integrity to make a career. And there are so many more rappers out there now than there used to be due to the ease of releasing music with the internet. Some aren't as big as the guys I mentioned, but they're on their way, and they've made it easier than ever to just kind of have like a small-ish but live off your career kind of career. So by that same logic, there probably is some good country or Americana folksy-ish music out there for me to enjoy. And I need to tap into that if I want to experience all of the joys that the world of recorded music has for me. But I gotta be honest here. I grew up as someone who prided himself on listening to a lot of different kinds of music. But at the end of the day, I'm a Yankee. I'm from New York. I never had a country phase. I was raised to think it all sucks and that it's just about beer and tractors and being racist. And I only like beer out of those things. I don't have a lawn. I don't think I'm alone in remembering the anything but country phrase being a common answer to the question, so what kind of music do you like? So watching this rise of country music made me feel like that Squidward meme where he's looking out the window. Am I missing something? And the short answer is, yeah. But I don't think I'm gonna find it on the 35-track Morgan Wallen album. I heard from some people that Zach Bryan was a better place to start. So I went there. I had a long drive and it felt appropriate. And I liked it. The truth is, I already had this style of folksy Americana music kind of Trojan horse to me by this artist that I've been following for a long time named Dijon. If you aren't familiar, I highly recommend checking him out.
And again, as I'm editing this video, like since I filmed this, Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign sampled Dijon on the intro of their album Vultures. Like, he's actually the first person you hear on the album, funny enough.
I've been a fan of him for a few years now, going back to when he was in an indie R&B duo called Abi Dijon. He went solo in 2018 and started experimenting with some more Americana-ish sounds. His song Nico's Red Truck really broke open a levee for me in my head. The guitars and the belting on the chorus sound so raw and nostalgic. Like, I didn't go to a high school with a football field, but watching that music video and listening to that song, I really wanted to. It expanded my palette and opened me up to new possibilities. He's only moved further in that direction, and his album absolutely is one of my favorite albums of the past few years. His ability to put emotion in his music, especially in his vocal delivery, is unmatched. Rodeo Clown especially, and also Did You See It, I think are great examples on that album of what he can do with his voice. And there's a certain folksy quality to all of it that just made me appreciate that world a lot more. And because it's still rooted in that R&B music that I know and love, it just works. Folk music and country music are not the same thing, but they are adjacent to each other in a sense. And much like country music, folk music is seeing a run at the spotlight. Noah Kahan has exploded onto the scene, and enough people were calling him country that there are video essays on YouTube about how he's not country. And it's a good video with a good argument too, I'll link it below. But the point stands that the genres are pretty closely related. As a listener myself, I feel like I was closed off to this kind of music. I just decided it wasn't for me. And honestly, I was wrong. And it's nice to find new things that I can love. Where I feel like I have to draw the line is at this idea of country replacing hip hop in any manner. Just because one genre is growing doesn't mean the other one is gonna automatically decline. And just because I've gained an appreciation for listening to Zach Bryan doesn't mean it's gonna replace all the rap and R&B and indie rock that I listen to. We as a generation are spoiled to have all of the world's recorded music at our fingertips at all times. What that means for us is that whenever we're in a situation where a certain kind of music is going to be the most appropriate, we can go to that. We have the soundtrack ready for us. So when I'm on a hike or driving down a dark country road, then maybe some folk or Americana or country is going to be what I slap on. But it's not like it's going to replace what I listen to when I ride my bike, when I skate, when I go to the gym. Because to me, all of those things have very specific soundtracks to them, and that's not going to change. There are so many times in the day when I listen to music that personally I have a little bit of space for everything. One of the lamest things that people can do is become that type of guy, that college freshman who hears his first Tame Impala album and then says like, y'all need to expand your palettes beyond rap. Y'all still on that rap music? Turn that off. Listen to real music. Like, shut up, bro. It's great to listen to different kinds of music, but that conversation can be had without devaluing hip-hop. There was a big issue when Lil Yachty dropped his psychedelic album and said a few things about rap being boring or whatever. Why does it always have to be at the expense of rap music when you do this other stuff? Like, you can enjoy all these things, but not act like you're morally superior just because you like Currents. I like Currents too. Guess what? Everybody likes Currents. But you might say, the industry is shifting away from rap and moving towards country. And you might not be wrong. There's a rapper I really like who I guess like kind of fits in the genre of like Yeet. And he's got under 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify right now. I don't think that's gonna stay that way too long because he's fire. And I was talking about him with a friend who works in the industry who's also a fan of him. And he told me that he talked to some people at a major label about him, some A&Rs, and they said they would be more interested in him if he pushed a more country sound. I know this is like a very tenuous example. It's like a friend of a friend told me ass, like telephone ass example, I'm sorry. But it's just to show that it is happening. I'm not going to pretend like it's not happening. If you fear that labels see the dollar signs in the country music genre and they're going to move in that direction, like your fears are correct. But my next question is, why is that a bad thing? Labels are going to chase whatever's hot to get a bag. Whether that's hip hop, R&B, pop, punk, country, bluegrass, folk, polka, jerk, plug and B. I'm out of genres. I was just trying to name. They've been signing anything that goes viral on TikTok for the past 4 years. It's not because they want to preserve a genre or push any kind of sound forward or that they respect the halls of the great genre that came before them. They don't give a fuck, man. They just want to make money. And their financial calculations should not have anything to do with our barometer for what kind of music we enjoy or don't enjoy. It's never been easier to be independent in hip-hop. Labels seeing dollar signs in another area that's not hip-hop, it doesn't mean that the genre is dying. In fact, in a lot of cases, these rappers aren't signing bad record deals because they can make their career work independently. And that's great. A bunch of things can be true at once. For one, country music's audience is expanding. It's not just for Southerners, rednecks, and white people. And as monoculture fades away, it's less and less likely for one genre to have like decades of unfettered dominance like hip hop has. I'm not sure that that's such a bad thing. Think about how many painful examples there are of people trying to jump on hip hop related stuff just because it was cool, not because they understood the culture, cared about it, knew about it, wanted to push it forward. You can bet your ass there will be people going country who will look ridiculous. And they won't understand the ethos of the genre. I mean, that Justin Timberlake album from a few years ago with The Man in the Woods, like that was kind of that. Hate to say it, I think we all knew that. But also, he's really from the South, so like maybe it was authentic, it was just not good. I don't know. I haven't listened to it since it came out. I'm sure there will be people who try to go country or folksy and their heart won't be in it, and people will be able to tell. And as a way bigger fan of hip hop than of country, even though I like Zach Bryan now, that might actually be a good thing for the hip hop audience and the artists themselves. On a personal level, I'm happy that my palette has expanded. But my journey is really just beginning in the world of country and folk music and Americana. So if you have any recommendations for me, please drop them in the comments below. If you want a recommendation from me, I think you should check out Hans Williams. Listen to his song All Is Well. He's fire. Definitely check out D. John's album, absolutely, and his EP before that, How Do You Feel About Getting Married? and go back to Abi Dijon and listen to their song Often. That song is gas. And I need Jimmy Butler to drop that snippet right now.